Did Andrew Brunette get robbed when it comes to the Jack Adams? We're going to talk about that and share some big Friday feelings on today's Locked On Predators podcast.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Predators podcast, and thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We are your free daily Nashville Predators podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to kick off this hallelujah, it's Friday episode with a shout out to our Locked On Pred heads. Those are our everyday listeners who tune in to talk Nashville Predators hockey with us. We appreciate your support, and we love getting to spend a little bit of your day with you. I'm Ann Kimmel. I am a writer at Penalty Box Radio, and I have a partner in crime.
Yes, you do. I'm Emma Lingen, and I am the Predators site editor and reporter for the Hockey News.
On today's show, Emma and I are going to continue our season review. We're going to look back at Andrew Brunette's first season behind the bench for the Nashville Predators. We're also going to discuss the voting results for the Jack Adams that were announced yesterday. We are also going to share some big Friday feelings on this episode as well. Before we dive into all that, want to let you know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. All right, Emma, you and I have been working our way through these season superlatives, talking about individual performances from 2023, 2024. Today, we're going behind the bench, and we're going after the second biggest cheese. I guess we could say. We already talked about Barry Trotz, who's the big cheese. We're going to talk about Andrew Brunette. This was his first season behind the bench for the Nashville Predators. What a season it was for Andrew Brunette. So do you want to kick us off, Emma, by sharing your season superlative when it comes to Andrew Brunette's season?
Honestly, I have one, but I don't know if it's safe for work to say. That's only because I have seen what he typically does after a win or after a game, so I'm gonna let that be his own secret. But beyond that, I would say like the more family friendly one would be most likely to like walk into a press conference or a media scrum and know like at least 3 of the media members, like no matter where we are, no matter what city, no matter who the team is playing, like everyone knows Bruno. It's like he's like that guy that like you want to be friends with him, like, and you want to go out to the bar with him or whatever because he knows everyone and it makes you look cool. Like that's
Yes.
how he is.
He reminds me of my dad at the Warren County Fair, which is up in Pennsylvania. But my dad grew up in Warren County, taught in Warren County, lived in Warren County. You know, they've been there all their life. And if you go to the Warren County Fair in Pennsylvania with my dad, you can't walk from one end to the other without, it taking about 6 hours because he's Andrew Brunette.
Yeah.
Everybody knows him.
Yeah.
Everybody knows him. Yeah.
I mean, he played in over 1,000 NHL games, and then he was a coach, he's a scout, he's a executive, he's done everything everywhere, it seems like. And so every time, whoever the visiting team is, or if we're on the road, whoever we're playing, it's always like he always knows someone personally, like,
yes,
in the media scrum. And it's like, I mean, I've been around. I like generally recognize like the beat reporters and things like that, but he'll be like, "Oh, hey," and I'm like, "Who is that?" Like, how does he know? Like, how does he keep all of this straight? But I mean, he's a popular guy, and for good reason.
Everybody knows him. Everybody seems to like him. Yeah. Okay. I just want you to confirm. I know you can't share details, but just promise me that Andrew Brunette doesn't go in the locker room after a win and drink a beer out of a shoe. Tell me that doesn't
No,
happen.
he does not do that. Can confirm he does not do that.
Because I saw that at the
Yeah.
Milwaukee Admirals game last night.
Mhm.
What are we doing
No.
as a
Mm-mm.
society?
No. Mm-mm.
No.
No,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. I don't need any more than that. That just reassures me that Andrew Brunette is on the right track. Whatever he does or says, he's not drinking a beer out of a
It's
shoe.
not anything like illegal. I feel like I made that sound way worse than it is, but it's like it's a funny thing that he does after games, and but I will like let that be his moment. But yes,
I love that.
it's not drinking out of a shoe. I will
Hallelujah.
confirm that much.
Well, my season superlative for Andrew Brunette actually is something that I think probably it has to do with what he does in private. Let me just go ahead and put it out there before we get off track here. It's Friday, y'all.
Using all the wrong words today.
I just may need to edit that, may just let it hang. I don't know. But my season superlative for Andrew Brunette is most likely to secretly have a Ted Lasso believe sign taped to his bathroom mirror. So
Okay.
see, it's not as bad.
See, that's very wholesome. That's yeah.
Yeah.
You redeemed yourself there. That
Yeah,
was
as soon as that came out, I was like, nope. But yeah, because I really feel like this was a season where Andrew Brunette had to consistently remind himself to like, you're on the right track, believe in what you're doing, because this was not, as well as the season ended, this was not smooth sailing all the time for Andrew Brunette. Like, I think Andrew Brunette could look back on this first season with the Predators and someday talk about it, in that I walked barefoot uphill both ways in the snow that first season, because he really did a lot of pulling this team along. Really, it was work. Andrew Brunette worked hard this first season.
He absolutely did. And I think a big part of that is not just like the actual, his actual job description of coaching a team and, implementing the system. That is enough in itself. But then I think a big part of it, and some of the players touched on this, after Bruno was nominated or he was a finalist for the Jack Adams, and we were asking some of the players. I think we actually told Roman Josi. I think that was the first time he found out that morning. But I think one of the common things I heard was like, he believed in us, and like, and he was never, I think a big part of that is the mental piece. It's not just like, okay, I'm the coach, here's what you need to do because I said so. It's getting those guys to buy in and to believe in themselves, even when it's like that whole rocky period that you're talking about. Like, it was not always smooth, and it would be very easy to be like, hey man, I don't know if this is working. And I even said that, as a reporter a couple times this year. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if this is it. But I think a big part of that is not only trusting and having confidence in your players, but it is really hard, I think, just to act like, I don't want to say act like everything's okay when it's not, because like, I mean, clearly when the team was struggling, they're struggling. We're not going to sugarcoat that. But I think that he, it was frustrating because for a lot of the time, especially earlier in the season, they were getting really good chances and they were and that was the common thread of all of his post-game interviews, is like, we're doing all the right things. We're just not getting rewarded. And, eventually the hockey gods will reward us. And it's like, okay, but like that for me would just get really, it's hard to keep believing in that, and to keep, not only for yourself to believe in it, but to get a group of, 20 other guys to believe in it too. And even when they're seeing the results and they're seeing that it's not working, I think that he is one of the most like level-headed, like I never saw him this season after a big win or a big loss. He always was just so even keel. Like, he never got like visibly upset or angry. Like, you could kind of tell nuances if you know him well enough and you like listen to him speak enough. But there wasn't anything like the other day when we talked about Gus Nyquist and he had that, he was really upset
Oh, yeah.
after, like, Andrew Brunette never had a game like that. And I think that speaks a lot to his leadership ability, because if you're following a leader, you don't want to see the leader get,
Right.
flustered, because then you'll get flustered. And so I think he brought a lot of healthy perspective to the game and to this season. And I mean, Lord knows he's been through it enough as a player, a coach, a scout, exec, whatever, that he knows the end of the story. Like, he's seen this movie before, like,
Yes.
it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. And so I think that was really valuable experience for him.
Yep, I agree with you on that. Very much don't get too high, don't get too low, no matter what's happening. And so important as he led this team through some up and downs. Coming up, we're going to hear from Andrew Brunette in his end of the season press conference. He talked about his vision starting the season with the team. We're going to hear from Andrew Brunette and talk about what he had to say. And then we're also later in this episode going to talk about some big Friday feelings, friends. Stay tuned for that. First, want to let you know today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. There is no I in team, but there is one in Indeed, and that's the hiring platform you need to build your team. When you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. They streamline hiring with powerful tools that find you matched candidates. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to US Indeed data. So join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at indeed.com/locked on. Offer good for a limited time. Again, claim your $75 credit now at indeed.com/locked on. Again, that's indeed.com/locked on. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire, you need Indeed. So we've been talking about Andrew Brunette in his first season. I want to play a clip, Emma, of what Andrew Brunette had to say when it came to sort of coming into the season with a vision and walking that out through kind of the ups and downs. This is what Bruno had to say at the end of the season.
As for the team, I came in with open eyes, and I had a vision, an idea of what I wanted, how I wanted to play. I didn't know if we could get there yet, especially after the first little while. But I was going to be stubborn and have a strong belief in what I think works, and I was going to see it through. And I was very fortunate. Talked about it could go either way at different times during the year, but I was I was going to risk it all, sort of thing, because I believe that it has to be done a certain way. And I was very fortunate. The group stayed together, grew tighter, and had just a wonderful second half of the year.
So talking, about Andrew Brunette and really having to hang on to belief, I have this flashback to the movie Braveheart, where Mel Gibson is standing there with like his posse of, these Scottish farmers with their pitchforks and their spears facing, the army, and he's saying, hold, hold, hold. And I'm like, that is so Andrew Brunette all season long with this team. Like, hey guys, like, stick with it. Because I think Andrew Brunette could have come into this season and gotten through maybe the first third of the season and said, you know what, we're not going to get to the level where I want us to be this season. So we're going to just work on step one. And I feel like Brunette didn't do that. Like, he held the line of, no, where you're at is not there yet. I need you to go here, and really pushed and pulled and encouraged and critiqued and really worked his way to getting this team to a place where they, had that 18-game point streak. They earned a spot in the postseason. They were competitive in the postseason. I give a ton of credit to Andrew Brunette, because I think you could have just as easily said, well, we're not going to get there this year, so we're going to just, be okay with where we're at this year and work for it next year. And it was like he would not move that benchmark. He just wasn't going to move it. And I give him a ton of credit for that.
Yeah, definitely. I think to quote Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Pittsburgh
girl.
Steelers, the standard is the standard.
Yes.
And that is what that clip you just played of Andrew Brunette, that's basically what he's saying is like, nope, this is it. And you're going to rise to it or bye. Like that's pretty much it. And not in a way that's like threatening or like an ultimatum kind of thing, but it's like, no, I know what works. I know this is what's going to work. And I mean, to that end, I think you have to give a lot of credit to the players as well for rallying
Yes.
around the way that they did, because again, could very easily that could kind of be a divisive kind of thing in the locker room if guys aren't like, I don't know, like this, we have never done things this way and this is too much. It's not working. I want to win and we keep losing and blah, blah, blah. And I think you have to give them a lot of credit for really seeing it through and actually, believing in the system, believing in Brunette and believing in each other, that they could do it. And something that I had said earlier in the year, when things weren't going well for the team, I thought like, okay, maybe I could see what Brunette's vision was. I'm like, I see what he's trying to do. I don't have an issue with the vision, but I just don't know if he has the right guys on his roster to carry out that vision. To a degree, I think that still might be true to an extent.
Yes.
But I give him credit for sticking to it, like sticking to his guns and his belief and not backing down or backing off of what he believes is right. But again, not like, it wasn't like he was going against the players or trying to go against the grain or make it more difficult for them. I think it was just like, it was very much a two-way conversation in that locker room and behind the scenes, where it's just like, look, this is what we need from you. This is what we expect from you. And we're not going to change. Like, we're not going to modify our entire team system and strategy for you. So you got to fit or, figure it out. And for the most part, like with a couple exceptions, I think these guys figured it out and they did their best. And again, like we saw, I mean, it took that team like 50 games to finally figure it out.
Yeah.
So of course, like I would think after 50 games, I'd be like, all right, maybe it's not happening this year. But then they went and, went on an 18 game point streak and made the playoffs. So like, I think overall, I think this year taught us that Andrew Brunette is absolutely the right guy for this job and for what Barry Trotz is looking for from his team moving forward. And good God, with all of the coaching changes happening around the league right now, this is so nice and so relaxing. I'm like, wow, this is like something I don't have to worry about. Like, as a reporter, I'm like, are we gonna fire the coach? Like, no, oh my gosh.
There's no story here, people.
Nope, he is, yeah. And I was like, this is great. Now, granted, I thought the same thing about Ryan McDonough, but we won't go there. Here we are. No, it's a marked difference from last offseason. So yeah, it's nice to kind of have that stability there, especially after the last year and a half.
Yeah.
The team has gone through so much. The organization has changed so much. And it's nice to finally get to a point where you feel like things have kind of leveled out. And you can really go from there.
Yeah. This was a year where Brunette did a great job earning the trust of the players and I think the fan base as well. But he talked about the word he kept saying when he was talking about the players and the system was uncomfortable. I'm asking them to do things that are uncomfortable. And it was so funny because I'm like, in some ways I felt like we, from a media fan base perspective, haven't totally gotten a glimpse at Andrew Brunette fully because I feel like, there was in his first season, there's sort of this, you almost have to keep yourself separate. Like, when it comes to something like parenting, like you have to establish like who's got the last word, And I feel like this was the season of Andrew Brunette establishing, like, I have the last word. Like, I know where we're going, and this is kind of how I want things to run, and this is what I need, and this is what I expect from the players, and this is how I'm going to communicate. But I love that he also talked at the end of the season about, like, hey, I'm going to work on some things that I want to grow in, or my communication and my listening to the players as well. And I think that shows, I don't think Andrew Brunette, like, he reminds me of somebody who's like, I'm not that deep. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
what you see is what you get. Like, I'm not that
For
deep.
sure.
Like, I don't think Barbara Walters would interview him and make him cry. Like, Andrew Brunette is like, it's not gonna
No,
happen.
he is the consummate like hockey guy.
Yes.
He eats, sleeps, breathes hockey, and it's just like that's all he cares about. That's all he thinks about. And I'm not trying to say he's heartless and doesn't care about
No,
other
not at
things, because
all.
I'm sure he does, but it's like that's it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and talk about my feelings. We're here to play hockey. Like,
Yes.
that's just kind of how he comes across.
Yeah, I love it. Andrew Brunette, of course, finished second in the Jack Adams voting behind winner Rick Tocchet from Vancouver Canucks. Coming up, Emma and I are going to talk about the voting, and then we're going to share some pretty big Friday feelings. Emma's got some feelings that she wants to share, and we are always here for that. We're going to do that in just a second. First, want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It is winner take all time in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's right, it's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Look, we know the Panthers took game 1 of their series against the Rangers. If you are feeling real good about Matthew Tkachuk's postseason performance, you can bet $5 on him scoring in game 2 against the New York Rangers. You could win $150 in bonus bets. Check out all the action. Visit fanduel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, Emma, we found out that Andrew Brunette finished second in the voting for the Jack Adams. Were you surprised? And when you saw the actual voting results, what were your initial thoughts?
I wasn't surprised. I would say the only thing that maybe surprised me was how many first place votes he got. And it's nothing against him. It's not a knock against him. I just think Rick Tocchet had that in the bag, and rightfully so.
Right.
We talk about how the Predators weren't supposed to be here, weren't supposed to make the postseason. I mean, let's talk about Vancouver. They weren't either. And they went and won their division. So
Yes.
I think that like what he's done, what Tocchet has done with that team has been remarkable.
Mhm.
And he, again, and we've talked about this before, really felt like we as media, it was such a treat for us to cover that series and be able to listen to both of those coaches talk.
Fantastic.
Oh my gosh, both of them. And there were a lot of similarities in the way that they see things. First of all, they were both extremely complimentary of each other. And it
Mhm.
didn't feel like lip service.
Fake.
It didn't feel like, oh, credit to them, whatever. Like, no, it was like in great detail about like things that Brunette does really well and things that Tocchet does really well. And like it was clear they had studied one another too, and they
Mhm.
knew one another and how they coach, which was really cool. And both just bring such a healthy perspective, I think, to the game. Tocchet was another guy that like didn't really get too fired up after wins or losses, and both of them can kind of crack jokes too. Like they kept it loose, they kept it comfortable. So yeah, I think there's not much more to say. Tocchet had it in the bag, and he deserved
Right.
it.
Yeah, this was definitely one of those times where I'm like, as much as Nashville Predators fans want to see Andrew Brunette win it, and I think Andrew Brunette had a phenomenal year, and that second place finish is a testament to that. I would agree with you. It's very hard to squawk about Rick Tocchet winning this award. I
Yeah.
mean, just an incredible season. And I am with you, sitting and listening to Tocchet as a media member, like you never know what you're going to get. from an NHL head coach. You never know what you're going to get. And I feel like I left his press conferences a little bit smarter, a lot more
Yes.
insight, a better understanding of what to look for in the next game between these two. So I am with you. It really was such a privilege to cover both of those coaches in that series. The one question I do have is who in the ever-loving Flagnog, Emma, voted Mike Sullivan? It was
That
a third
was
place vote, but I'm also like, now come on, y'all.
Yeah, like maybe if the Penguins are the opposite. They should have made the playoffs and they
And
didn't.
they
So
didn't. What are we doing?
not saying that's entirely Mike Sullivan's fault. And I do really like Mike Sullivan as a coach.
Great
This
guy.
was not his year. This
Yeah,
was not
yes.
his year. And yeah, going back to Tocchet too, like he's a guy, I totally agree with you. I left every media availability with him feeling like I learned something,
Yes.
whether it was about the game, about his team, about him, I don't know. And so I like he's one of those guys and I'm like, I would just love to like get a beer with him
He
and
is
just like pick
get
his
a beer
brain.
with guy. Yes.
Like at 1000%. I would just like, can I just buy you a beer and you just talk for an hour about whatever you want?
Yes.
Like I'm sure I will find it fascinating.
And he would be the guy that I feel like would be like, yeah, let's go get a beer.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah. Very
I-
approachable, very relatable.
Yes. And again, just I'm sure the Nashville Predators fans, and it would have been great to see Brunette win this, but can't argue about it.
No.
Going forward, do you have any big things, Emma, when you're talking about Andrew Brunette that you want to see next season from him? Is there anything big that jumps out at you?
Yes, and this might be a prelude into big feelings, but because I do have a big feeling about this. Love Brunette, still think he's the right guy for the job. We need to talk about the power play.
Oh my gosh, girl, come. Let's just what in the world?
That is supposed to be his thing. He completely transformed just a god-awful power play in New Jersey last year when he was the associate head coach there. That's supposed to be his bread and butter. That's supposed to be what he does. He did it in Florida too. And he said when he first came to Nashville, he was going to coach the power play. And someone asked, I don't remember who it was, but someone in the media asked him, okay, so you're going to start with it. Like, how will you know when it might be time for you to like hand off the reins to maybe an assistant coach or maybe just back off a little bit? And he said, I'll just know. And at the time, we're all like, all right,
Okay.
we'll see. Clearly this guy's a really good track record. The power play finished 16th in the regular season, 16th in the league. So like right in the middle, literally, of 32 teams. Was at 21.6%. Not great.
Nope.
In the playoffs.
Oh,
What power play?
What
power play?
It was literally, hey, Vancouver, would you like to rest a guy for 2 minutes while we
Oh my
skate away?
gosh. And I mean, we saw it too in the Hurricanes series against the Rangers. After that, the same thing happened to them, which was a little gratifying. It was like, all right, well, it's not just the Preds, but it's like, I have found myself wondering at various times. I'm like, can it be like football? Can they like decline a penalty? Be like, no, we'll just play 5-on-5. It's fine because we're better.
He doesn't have to sit. He doesn't have to sit.
No, it's fine. Let him play. It's like with little kids. Like I work at a school and it's like, let him play. He can play. It's fine. I was really expecting to see a heck of a lot more out of the power play this year, and I did not. And that is number one on my list because Bruno, my guy, that's supposed to be your thing.
Yeah.
It might be time, like you said. I think we know. I think we know that maybe you should not be coaching it, or I don't know, but
I agree with you for me 100%. Like looking forward to what's coming up next season that looks different and better, Bruno.
Yep.
So it is Friday, Emma. You touched on like the power play definitely brings up some big Friday feelings for I think every Nashville Predators fan. But do you have something else that you want to share on this Friday that you have some big feelings about?
Yes, I do. And I'm sure it will invite some very big feelings from Predators fans. Probably not of the positive variety, and that's okay. I can take it. I, Emma Lingen, on this Friday, am officially declaring I am all aboard the Duchesne train, and I want the Dallas Stars to win the Stanley Cup.
Ooh, Emma, you just took the ladle and stirred the pot, my friend.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
why? Why are you on the Duchesne train?
Okay, well, first of all, I love Dutchie, and
Mhm.
he's a friend of mine, and I really like him, and anyone who you care about in your life, you
Of
want to see them
course.
succeed, and you want to see them do well. So like that is like the basic, but or that's me trying to be nice about it. I will be honest, and I think that the main reason is because I'm just a very petty person. And
Come on, girl.
I love a good revenge story. Like, I love that storyline for him. Like, he gets bought out of the blue. He's completely got the rug ripped out from under him. And because he doesn't fit this culture of like serial winners or whatever that Barry Trotz, saw that he wanted out of the locker room. He goes to Dallas, like a legit cup contender. And how amazing would that be? Like, again, it's just like it's like a movie, it's like his I mean, he was never like down bad. I mean, he's getting paid by two teams right now, so he's not down that bad. But
Life's not too hard.
yeah, yeah. Um like when I talked to him after I left the team and he was trying to relate, I was like, "Bro, we are not the same. The Predators are not paying me to not work for them. So
That's right.
we are
That's
not the
right.
same." But
You could share some of that paycheck, Matt
seriously,
Duchesne.
yeah, I'm like, "Hey man, spread the love." But no, I think like it would just be such a great revenge story if like the the and this is nothing against the Predators or Barry Trotz either. It's just like for me, I like the petty storylines. If
Yes.
I don't have another dog in the fight, like it's Barry Trotz comes in and says, "We want to win a cup, but not with you," and then sends him away, and then he goes and wins a cup with another team. Like, come on. I love that.
I think there are probably big Friday feelings from the Nashville Predators fan base about this exact same topic, but leaning heavily in the opposite direction, Emma. But you know what?
Understandably so. You know what? And this is not nothing. I love Matthias Ekholm too. I do. I would, and this is why I like. Yes, I'm rooting for Dallas in the
Mhm.
West, but I won't be like heartbroken. First of all, anything sports related, it takes very rarely anything leaves me heartbroken anymore because I feel
Yeah.
like I'm just kind of dead inside at this point. But I think I won't be that broken up about it if
Yeah.
Dallas loses because they will lose to Edmonton. And now if Edmonton wins the Western Conference final and goes on to the cup final, I'm
Yep.
all aboard Team Edmonton, no matter who they're playing.
Right.
So
100%.
it's
Yeah.
not anti-Edmonton. It's, I think it would be great to see Matthias Ekholm hoist the cup. It would be another great storyline, like in the opposite direction, would be Corey
True.
Perry. Corey Perry has lost. I know that's another Friday feeling. And
Mm.
I'm just
Mm.
inviting the hate today. He's like been to the cup final with 3 different teams and lost every time. And like I know Preds fans love that and they love to laugh at that, but I'm like, that would be kind of funny if at age 39 he finally
He's like,
did it.
aha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
either way, again, the final result is haha, and that's what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting
I
for someone to have the last laugh.
There
That's
you
all.
go. I will say I would like the Western Conference to win the Stanley Cup, either team. But
Yes.
and full disclosure, if I am being honest, from a hockey standpoint, I really would have loved to see Vancouver play Dallas to see what Vancouver's defense could do against Dallas's offense because I'm dying. I was dying to know. But I love
Especially those were the 2 teams that Nashville, it came down to in the first round. Nashville was either going to face Vancouver or Dallas. So like, and we were looking closely at both of those teams. It would be cool to see how they match up with each other.
Yes. I will say for me, Matthias Ekholm, like, he was my gateway drug to hockey and to the Nashville Predators. And also, you and I have a mutual friend, Paige Martin, who works for the Edmonton Oilers. And I'm like, I just want to see Paige Martin have all her dreams come true.
Yes,
So
yes.
I'm
and
pulling for Edmonton, but whoever comes out of the West just beat whoever comes out of the East.
yeah, I have friends who play and work for both Western Conference teams, so it's like hard for me to really choose. But I like, again, I love to stir the pot. I'm here for the drama. Bring it on. Like,
I love it.
I don't work for the team anymore, so I can have opinions about these things, and I love the drama. I love drama that does not involve me. So
100%. Well, Emma, I think you brought the drama, saying I'm on the Matt Duchene train. That is the
Yes.
Friday drama here. People can chew on that over the holiday weekend. We're going to wrap up this Friday episode of Locked On Predators podcast. Do want to let you know that with the holiday, Emma and I will be taking Monday and Tuesday off, but we will be back Wednesday with an all new episode. Emma and I are going to dive into the mushy middle six performances. Oh, yeah. We'll take the weekend and we'll be ready.
Said.
We'll take the weekend. Before we end this episode, Emma, tell everybody where they can find you and find your work online.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Emma_Lingen. I post all my work there, but you can also find me online at the Hockey News.
And you can find me on social media at AnnK_Mama on Ice. You can find my work at penaltyboxradio.com. That's going to do it for this Friday episode of Locked On Predators podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We hope you all have a fantastic holiday weekend, and we'll be back with an all new episode on Wednesday. We'll see you then.